Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryaṃ Karavāvahai Tejasvinavdhitamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, yesterday we saw in that Satchidananda ether Akasha space, in the space of absolute consciousness, existence, knowledge, bliss, in that the Maya, which is in the form of the clouds, appear. Okay. And because of in that Maya cloud, there are lightning of the form of mind and thunder of the form of ego. Okay. In that, from that cloud, the thought functions, from that Maya, the thought functions in the form of rain, down. There is a downpour of the thought function of rain. Now, this because of this thought function of downpour of rain, there is a Mahamoha Andhakara. There is a great delusion. Not simple delusion, it's a great delusion. Delusion of darkness. Okay. And now, this is all a play for Deva. Deva means Devendra, the Indra, or Deva means the effulgent self. If you are talking about rain, it is the play of Indra. If you are talking about the self, then it is the play of self. Okay, the ignorant state, then it's play of self. Then, to get rid of this rain, what should you do? Get rid of rain means, remember, what is rain? Rain means thought function. To get rid of this thought function, what should you do? It is to be done. So, to get rid of this thought function, you do yoga. Don't do that. Why? Because we are not interested in superfluous results. Stop the thought function, it comes back in another form. Stop this thought function with another thought function. These are all useless methods. So we have to go target, always use logic. When you use logic, target the base. So what is the reason for the thought function? Mind. What is the reason for the mind? Ignorance. So in the form of a strong wind, which is the knowledge, use that knowledge, strong wind of knowledge, to get rid of the black clouds of Maya. That is what is that previous shloka's idea. Now, here, the next topic, I am naming it as jñānavijñānabhedaha. Jñānavijñānayorbhāvaṃ. The difference between knowledge and knowledge. Vijñāna means also knowledge, right? Anyway, we know what jnana and vijñāna means. Knowledge means, jnana means immediate knowledge. Vijñāna means no. Jnana means mediate knowledge and vijñāna means immediate knowledge. We know this. And why do you have to? Now, there is a word bhedaha, difference between them. Not just bheda also is used in another sense here. There are 7 different explanations for this. 7 different explanations for knowledge, immediate knowledge, mediate knowledge, and immediate knowledge is given from the different standpoints of inquiry. To get the clarity, tatpada shodhana, we say shodhana. Shodhana means clarity. Okay, shodhana means purification, means clarity. To gain a clarity, you inquire into the self and non-self. This is done in different methodologies. So, taking all these different methodologies, he is giving you that difference between the immediate and immediate knowledge. Okay? Now, jñānaṃ dṛgdṛśyayorbhāvaṃ vijñānaṃ dṛśyaśūnyatā ekamevādvayaṃ brahma neha nānāsti kiñcana jñānaṃ dṛgdṛśyayorbhāvaṃ vijñānaṃ dṛśyaśūnyatā ekamevādvayaṃ brahma neha nānāsti kiñcana. Beautiful. What does he say? dṛgdṛśyayorbhāvaṃ. Dṛg means seer. Drishya means seen. The bhanam, the effulgence or the existence of the drik and drishya. The knowledge, that is called as knowledge. Meaning seeing, perception, perceiving the drik, the seer, and the seen to be different. let us change the word. Dṛgdṛśya and stuff. See, dṛgdṛśya is a very beautiful word. Dṛgdṛśyaveka. There is a text called dṛgdṛśyaveka. Okay. So, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik. That's how he starts. The Rupa, the form is a Drishya, seen, and the eyes are the seer. Like that he starts. Now, this one methodology. Why dṛgdṛśya? Because if we use, because I don't like Sakshi, being witness. I keep repeatedly mocking it. So, if I want to say that, I would have said Sakshi Sakshayorbhāvaṃ. The knowledge of the individual knowledge of being the witness and the witnessed. I would have said that. No, he says dṛgdṛśya, not because he wrote a book called dṛgdṛśyaveka, not just because of that. Also because there is one sutra which is an important sutra for yogis. What they say is dṛgdṛśyayo sanyogo he hetuhu, dṛgdṛśya sanyogo he hetu. The association, the inseparable association of dṛg and drishya, this purusha and the prakriti, the self and the matter. That is what is called as, that is what should be given up. Okay, from that standpoint also, dṛgdṛśya. Now, dṛgdṛśya, if you understand as a see, witness and the object, then he says that is knowledge. Seeing the witness and the object, that is knowledge. This is witness, this is knowledge. This is object. That is knowledge. Now, dṛśyaśūnyatā vijñānaṃ. Getting rid of that drishya is vijñāna. He is not saying dṛk avasthanatā vijñānaṃ. Being established in dṛk is not explained as vijñāna, immediate knowledge. But what he say? dṛśyaśūnyatā. Absence of objects, perceived objects. When there is no object, there is no seer. What does he see? There is nothing. So when there is no sakshi, when there is no sakshya, there is no sakshi. When there is no drishya, there is no dṛk. So only what remains is the self. That is vijñāna. Okay. And what is that vijñāna? So he says, Advayam Brahma, ekamevādvayaṃ Brahma, ekam eva advayam Brahma. That is the state, that Brahman, that is the state of Brahman, which is ekamevādvayaṃ, ekam eva advayam, ekamevādvitiyam. That is a statement from Vedas. He is taking that advayam instead of advitiyam. He is using advayam for the sake of the meter. Okay, ekam eva advayam, one alone, non-dual, which is negating all the sajati, vijati, swagata, bhedadi, duality in oneself, duality in with respect to the same class, duality of different classes. All these three kinds of dualities are negated. Okay, there are no dualities. Fine, but neha nānāsti kiñcana. Another statement. Neha nānāsti kiñcana. There is no kind of duality that exists. Getting rid of any kind of duality here. Okay, kiñcana, no kind. Any kind of duality does not exist in the self. So that is the first difference of jnana and vijñāna. Next, kṣetrakṣetrajñayorjñānaṃ, tajjñānaṃ jñānamucyate, vijñānaṃ cobhayoraikyaṃ, kṣetrajñaparamātmanoḥ, kṣetrajñaparamātmanoḥ tajjñānaṃ jñānamucyate, vijñānaṃ ca ubhayoho aikyam, kṣetrajñaparamātmanoḥ. Now, this is he is choosing the next word is kṣetrakṣetrajña. The reason for kṣetrakṣetrajña is in Bhagavad Gita, kṣetrakṣetrajño vibhaga yoga. There is a topic of kṣetrakṣetrajña vibhaga yoga. There, the first shloka itself is kṣetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarvakṣetreshu bharata. Bhagavan very clearly says, know me, know I, to be the kṣetrajña, the indweller of the knower of all the kshetras. Kshetra is all these objects, all these inert things. That is kshetra. Inert things are kshetra. Kṣetrajña is the sentient being. Okay, that is what is the understanding here. Now, kṣetrajñayorbhāvaṃ. Now you know what is kshetra and what is kṣetrajña, right? That is what is called as jñāna. Tajjñānaṃ jñānamucyate. Now this is the jñānam. Three jñānas he is used. So like somebody asked, you can use 3 because in one statement. Because cannot be used because. Like that he said. So something like that here. Jñānam. Yesterday I said we say only Triputi, Trinity, for some simple reason. Basically, it is duality. Any duality you take, the seer seen, the seer seeing, the seeing seen, etc. Any kind of duality is duality. Now, instead of duality, we say Trinity. But Trinity is also a abridged form of the fourth stage. What is that? Knower, knowing, object of knowledge, knowledge. There are 4 stages. Jñātā, knower. Jñāna, pramana. Neha, the object of knowledge. And pramiti, jnana. So there is a sadhana jnana and a sadhya jnana. There is a means knowledge and there is a ends knowledge. So resultant knowledge. So means knowledge and resultant knowledge are clubbed together as knowledge. So knowledge, then we have knower and then object of knowledge. 3. That's Trinity. Okay. Now he says, jñānaṃ yad tad jñānaṃ, that which knowledge means, that is what is called as resultant knowledge, jnana. Okay. Now we know what jnana is here. Jnana is the understanding, clear understanding between the kshetra and kshetrajña. Okay. Now vijñānaṃ cha, and what is vijñāna? Kṣetrajñaparamātmanoḥ aikyam, the identity, the non-difference between kshetrajña and paramatma. Understanding the kshetrajña, the indweller, and the absolute self is not different. That is a vijñāna. Okay. Now this is this clarity from kṣetrajña point of view. Next he says, parokṣaṃ śāstrajaṃ jñānaṃ vijñānaṃ cātmadarśanam ātmano brahmaṇaḥ samyagupādhidvayavarjitam. parokṣaṃ śāstrajaṃ jñānaṃ vijñānaṃ ca ātmadarshanam ātmanaḥ brahmaṇaḥ samyagupādhidvayavarjitam. śāstrajaṃ parokṣaṃ jñānaṃ, the knowledge that is generated. Shastra generated. That is generated by Shastra. The knowledge that is generated by Shastra is called as parokṣa, mediate. We know that what is Brahman and what is a non-Brahman, everything. But do we have the experience? No. I know, but I don't experience, right? So that is knowledge. That is mediate. And ātmanaḥ brahmaṇaḥ samyagupādhidvayavarjitam ātmadarshanam ca vijñānaṃ. The embodiment of Atma, Jiva, which is the Antakarana, the embodiment of Brahman, which is a Maya, getting rid of these 2 embodiments, seeing it from the Ishvara Jiva duality. We said already in the beginning itself, we said Antakarana is the embodiment for Jiva and Maya is the embodiment for Ishvara, etc. We saw that. And only recently, yesterday, we negated there is no Ishvara Jiva Bheda here because Mano Matramidam Dvaitam, the duality is a product of mind alone. Right? So, this is with respect to that people who accept the Ishvara Jiva Bheda. So, they say, Ishvara means Maya embodiment. Jiva means Antakarana embodiment, mind embodiment. Now, getting rid of, by clearly getting rid of these embodiments, whatever remains, that Aikya, that is Ātmadarshanam, that you get the immediate knowledge. The vision of self means the immediate knowledge of self. That is called as vijñāna. Okay. Third kind of explanation for jnana and vijñāna is over. Now, why I am repeating third type of jñānavijñāna is over, there is another reason here. tvamarthaviṣayaṃ jñānaṃ vijñānaṃ tatpadāśrayam padayoraikyabodhastu jñānavijñānasaṃjñitam. tvamarthaviṣayaṃ jñānaṃ vijñānaṃ tatpadāśrayam padayoraikyabodhastu jñānavijñānasaṃjñitam. tvamarthaviṣayam jnānam. Again, he is bringing the yogis back. tvamarthaviṣayam jnānam, vijñānaṃ tatpadāśrayam, padayoraikyabodhastu jñānavijñānasaṃjñitam. tvamarthaviṣayam jnānam. Jnānam is that which is dependent upon, or which is based on the knowledge of the word tvam. Tvam, you. The word tvam, you, is the avidya or antakarana vachana chaitanya. With embodiment, I am saying. Even if you understand the consciousness, it is the substratum is consciousness. Even then, you are the knowledge of your individual self, not the absolute self. Okay, that is jnana. Then tatpadāśrayam vijñānaṃ. The knowledge of the tad. Tad is the word meaning is maya avachina chaitanya, maya associated consciousness. But you understand the substratum, which is the consciousness. This is what yogis understand. They understand only the substratum consciousness. That's all. Now, what should be done? He says, padayoraikyabodhastu. Understanding that the tad substratum and the tvam substratum are the same is what is called as jñānavijñānasaṃjñitam, is what is called as jñānavijñāna. Now he is taking it to one level up, which is you know what is jnana, you know what is vijñāna. Tad, the knowledge of tat, implied meaning is jnana. Knowledge of tvam alone is jnana. Knowledge of tad alone is vijñāna. But the knowledge of identity of tad and tvam is jñānavijñāna. Okay? But wait, I was understanding, everything was clear until now. I knew what jnana is and what vijñāna is, and I have to stay put in vijñāna. Now suddenly, where did this jñānavijñāna come into existence? Okay, forget it. No jñānavijñāna. We'll just erase it. Let's start from beginning. Jnana and vijñāna alone. Okay? ātmānātmavivekasya jñānamāhurmanīṣiṇaḥ ajñānaṃ cānyatā loke vijñānaṃ tanmayaṃ jagat ātmānātmavivekasya jñānamāhurmanīṣiṇaḥ ajñānaṃ cānyatā loke vijñānaṃ tanmayaṃ jagat ātmānātmavivekam. Now he is bringing us to the jnana and vijñāna. What does it here? What does this sloka mean? ātmānātmavivekam jñānamāhurmanīṣiṇaḥ. Manīṣiṇa ahu. The learned ones, the knowledgeable ones, manīṣiṇaḥ, the learned ones, the wise men, they say, what do they say? ātmānātmavivekam jñānamiti. They say the knowledge of what is self and what is non-self is knowledge. We know ātmā nityam, anātmā nityam. We know ātmā is eternal, non-self is non-eternal. We know ātmā is sentient, anātmā is inert. We know that. So the difference between self and non-self, we know that is knowledge. Now, that is what is called by wise men as knowledge. Now, ajñānaṃ ca anyatha jñānam. Ajñānaṃ anyatha jñānam ca jagat. Ajñānaṃ anyatha jñānam jagat. See, what do we call as jagat? Jagat should be associated with other word also, but we accept this also. What is jagat basically? Ajñānaṃ anyatha jñānam. There are two stages. When you say jagat, jayate gacchati, whatever is momentary phenomenon, then you accept two different stages. One is ajñānam, the other is anyatha jñānam. Anyatha jñānam means anyatha, seeing it otherwise. So ajñānam means ignorance, means feeling, power of feeling, avarana. Then anyatha jñānam means seeing it otherwise, vikshepa. So avarana and vikshepa is what is jagat. Because when you don't see the rope, you see the snake. When you see the rope, you will never see the snake. So because of the ignorance of the rope, you see the snake. Because of the ignorance of the substratum self, you see the creation. Okay, so there is avarana and vikshepa. This is what is the creation. Now that jagat tanmayam vijñānam. Understanding that the creation is of the nature of that avarana and vikshepa is vijñāna. It is not me. It is a creation of ignorance and its effect, which is wheeling, projection. So the wheeling and projection is the cause for the jagat. Understanding that is vijñāna. Okay. Now, anvayavitirekabhyam. We have seen 5 different types. Now this 6th. अन्वयव्यतिरेकाभ्याम सर्वत्रैकं प्रपश्यति यद् तद् तु वृत्तिजं ज्ञानं विज्ञानं ज्ञानमात्रकम् अन्वयव्यतिरेकाभ्याम सर्वत्र एकं प्रपश्यति यद् तद् तु वृत्तिजं ज्ञानं विज्ञानं ज्ञानमात्रकम्. This another methodology we follow, अन्वयव्यतिरेका, through the method of direct concomitance and indirect concomitance. Okay. So, coexistence and coabsence, they also call it coexistence. So, anvaya vitireka, through this methodology, sarvatra anvaya vitirekabhyam ekam yat prapashyati tad vrittijam jnanam. That is how you have to understand. That's one statement. Everywhere, in all places, through direct concomitance and indirect concomitance. What is direct concomitance and indirect concomitance, or coexistence and coabsence? If this exists, that exists. If this does not exist, that does not exist. Tatsatve tatsattam tadabhave tadavaha. That is what is coexistence and coexistence. If this exists, that also exists. That is coexistence. If self exists, the world exists. Coexistence. If self does not exist, the world cannot have any existence. So, the common thing in both is the existence of self, which cannot be negated. Therefore, ekam yadu prapashyati. By comparing this through the direct concomitance and indirect concomitance, whatever you understand which is common, which is invariable for the existence of the other, that ekam is called as a tattu vrittijam jnanam. That knowledge is called as vrittijam jnanam. The knowledge gained through this thought function is called as jnana. This is jnana, not experience, but vrittijam jnanam. Generated, vritti, thought function, generated by thought function, knowledge generated by thought function. Actually, akhandakara vritti is also vritti. Then why does he say vrittijam jnanam? See, there is a difference. That is why I specifically said when we see pot, there is a change. When you see the self, there is another thing. The thought function, when it goes outside to the object, the only function of the thought function is to get rid of the wheeling, the cover. Then the consciousness eliminates it. We know that, right? So, but still, I told you specifically the vritti thought function does not get eliminated there. The thought function remains. It takes the form of the pot along with the consciousness. And that is why we said tadakara, taking the form of that pot. Now, when the same thought function is turned inwards, when it goes inside, which is called as akhandakara vritti, what happens is this vritti goes and hits the wheeling of ignorance and disappears. Thought function, when it turns towards the self, it disappears. It does not have any existence anymore. We said that, right? So, the knowledge generated of pot, cloth, etc. externally, that is a vrittija, a knowledge, a product of, an effect of generated by thought function. But the knowledge of self is not vrittija, it's not a thought function produced one. Remember this. Akhandakara vritti produces. No, akhandakara vritti cannot produce the self. Self is eternally there. Akhandakara vritti just goes and scraps away the wheeling. To make it clear, this akhandakara vritti is not producing the self. There is this example from yoga, which is a very yoga bhashya actually, which is a very useful thing here. So this wife goes to her husband and says, Lord, husband, my younger sister, she got married later than me and she has a kid. When will I have a baby? So this eunuch of a husband, this fellow is represented as napumsaka eunuch. He's a eunuch. So he tells his wife, dear, don't worry. After I die, I will give you a kid. He cheats that innocent girl by saying, after I die, how can something be generated, produced after its destruction? That is why Akhandakara Vritti is not giving you the knowledge. Akhandakara Vritti gets destroyed, knowledge takes place. Knowledge exists already. Okay? So, Vritti Jñānam, that knowledge which is generated by the thought is knowledge. Okay? Jñānamatrakam vijñānaṃ. Vijñānaṃ is jñānamatrakam. Jñāna alone. Knowledge alone. Knowledge alone. Jñānamatrakam. This matra is a word which is used always. Whenever you see the matra, you have to understand. Being that and being different from everything else is jñānam. That alone. When I say that alone, being that and being different from anything other than that. It is called as jñānamatraka. Like jñānamatraka here in reference is jñāna. Jnanatve sati jnana anya abhavatvam, jnana anya vetirekatvam. Being the knowledge, that which is different from anything other than knowledge is jnana matra, knowledge alone. Okay, so your vijñāna is a knowledge alone. It is not generated by thought function. Remember that. Okay, now 7th, ajñānadvamsakam jñānaṃ. Vijñānaṃ cobhayoraikyaṃ jñānavijñānaniṣṭho'yaṃ tatsat brahmani charpanam. Ajñānadvamsakam jñānaṃ vijñānaṃ ca ubhayatmakam jñānavijñānaniṣṭho'yaṃ tatsat brahmani ca arpanam. Now, ajñānadvamsakam jñānaṃ. Knowledge is the annihilator of the destroyer of ignorance. But it should be vijñāna, right? Don't get confused. Know what this is? Looks like a electronic something. I don't know what this is. You don't understand what this is, right? So let me show you what this is. This is a glass. Okay. Now, this is a box for that glass. Did your ignorance of this get destroyed by this knowledge? That is what is the nature of knowledge, to destroy ignorance. It did. But vijñānaṃ ca ubhayatmakam. Vijñānaṃ is of both types, meaning it is both knowledge and ignorance. Because the self, vijñāna, is the substratum for both ignorance and knowledge. You and me. So, therefore, he says, tatsat brahmani arpanam cha, and both that knowledge and ignorance are merged. Arpanam means surrendered, merged in water. Tatsat brahmani. Tad cha brahmani. It should not. Tad cha sad brahmani arpanam. It should not be done like that. Tad cha sad brahmani. Tatsat brahmani is one word, which is a om tatsat. That tatsat is the name for self. Tatsat. In that tatsat brahmani, in that brahman which is tatsat, in that arpanam cha, it is surrendered, it is merged, it is dissolved. What? The ignorance and the knowledge. Worldly ignorance and worldly knowledge. That is surrendered, that is merged, dissolved in the self. Iyam jñānavijñānaniṣṭhā. This is what is being established in the knowledge and immediate knowledge and immediate knowledge. This is what is being established in immediate and immediate knowledge, or jñānavijñāna, the state beyond the immediate and immediate knowledge, which we saw earlier, right? We can take that also. This is what is being established in the jnana and vijñāna. Okay, so 7 different types are explained. We'll see this. Om Purnamadaḥ Purnamidam Purnāt Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevāvaśishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.